Alright YouTube, it's garden update time. Here you see some Nicotiana and so forth. Most things are starting to go by. The sunflowers are doing well, but some of them have bent over due to their own weight, which is rather funny. There's lots and lots of corn, as you can see. The second planting did do well, but the tomatoes are even a bigger success story. There are tomatoes everywhere, and there's whole bundles of tomatoes. That one there, that's way bigger than cherry tomatoes normally are. This is, usually this variety doesn't get that much bigger than maybe that. Some of them are 2 or 3 times that size, so they're going to be some tasty shit. And the corn here is earing out, but it'll be, another couple weeks before it's picked. This stuff, maybe only a couple more days before a lot of it's picked. There's going to be a powerful lot of corn because there are ears everywhere, and they're fleshed out. They're nice and full and plump. They got plenty of rain, and they're getting plenty of sun. That'll be just fine. What I've done is I've roughly outlined what's going to happen with the garden. The fence is going to start here. All these lilies have to get moved, put them out on the side of the house or something and clear that out. All the perennials will be back here. All these logs are going to be stripped out along with the rhubarb and everything else. I'm going to have a big clump of rhubarb on one side, a big clump of horseradish on the other, and then I'm going to have all sorts of decorative perennials between the two. And it'll come out to roughly here, so all this has to be dug out, and that'll be bordered off. Doesn't need soil improvement, that sort of plant. They'll thrive on their own. They don't really need much. Maybe give them some organic fertilizer once a year. You can see this poor little sunflower. Oh my God, it's so deformed and stupid. But that'll be what's done there. There'll be an 8-foot gap, and the fence starts here, and this will stay grass. I'm going to start one bed here, right where this bed is. That side will basically be the same. I'll re-dig it, but that's about all. And it's going to be thin. It's going to go to there. I'm going to take up about a yard off of it. And then there'll be a gap in between here. So where this bed is on the edge, that'll be just bare dirt. And then the next bed will start there and go to here, a little, about a foot into this bed. That all gets dug out. It'll be just as long as that one already is. And then another gap, and then a third bed starts here, and that encompasses most of this bed. So that I'll just pile that usable soil in, add a few extra bags of cow shit, and that'll be fine. Again, I'm going to dig it on the ends. Then a third gap, and then a fourth bed here that hasn't been dug at all. And I'm going to need probably about 30 bags of cow shit to finish off all 4 of those beds. Add a couple bags each to the ones that are already getting improved soil. Add a lot more to the beds that need a lot more. They'll get like 8 bags apiece, plus some sphagnum moss, some wood ash, bone meal. I'll just pop it all in there. This bed I'm going to extend out because I'm going to be bringing this fence in this way. So there'll only be about 3 feet here instead of, almost 5 feet as there is now. That bed's going to be brought all the way out, and that will continue to be lilies and chamomile basically. But what I'm planning to do with these beds, this one's going to be a problem because this fence actually is at an angle and bows out. Because I'm going to be making it straight so it's more attractive, the fence is actually going to go right through about here because that's level with where it is on the other side. So I'm going to need at least 3 feet there as well, so really only a very narrow section of this bed is going to be intact as it is now. I'm going to pile all that soil over this way, turn this into a bed. It's going to be thinner than the others. And then I'm going to move this a couple feet in. Now, because the perennials are being pulled out, it won't matter. I've got to get all the irises, all the lilies, everything, the lupin, because that's all going in back. So this one can be thinned up. And what I'm going to do, once all of these big perennials are out, this is going to be a perpetual patch of chamomile. And the other triangular bed, once the perennials, other than these hostas are too close into the root system of the peach tree, so I don't want to move them. That will end up being a little herb garden. Once the lilacs are trimmed out, and once some of these perennials are gone, there'll be a little bit more sun here, so I'll be able to grow like oregano and sage and stuff like that. So I'll end up with 4 relatively large vegetable beds. This bed will be chamomile. That'll be herbs of other sorts. A chamomile tea garden, and then an herb bed. And then this one, I'll just put some random stuff, maybe some sunflowers in it each year. Or I might run a trellis, actually, because it'll be narrower. I might have little posts here and make a trellis over the whole area. The gate will have to be moved a couple feet. And there'll be a little, entrance path what I want to do is put the wire trellising in and then have little lights hanging from it, those little solar lights that they're like a little orb, and I want to put a bunch of those in because that'll look decorative, and then you can come out in the garden at night. Be fun to make a nighttime garden video. And I'm also going to move these beds out at least a good 3 feet, or 2 or 3 feet. That way, actually, even though the fenced-in area of the garden will be significantly smaller, almost by a third, there'll actually be more space to grow things in the garden. It'll also be better defended, because this kind of fencing here won't keep out rabbits, won't keep out squirrels and stuff. So I need to use chicken wire on the entire fence. Thankfully, it's cheap. And thankfully, I've already got enough metal posts that I think I can actually do the entire area just with the ones I've already got, so I won't have to buy any more. Because I've got not only these smaller ones that are, you know, kind of good at supporting things, but I believe I have 5 of these much larger metal posts that are proper for, again, this kind of chicken wire. It doesn't need to be that tall, but it needs to be tall enough to keep deer from jumping in. And this is sturdy enough, and even though this has been here for years, it doesn't wiggle that much. It's sturdy enough so it can support the chicken wire a good foot above it. That'll give about 6 feet of chicken wire. That's more than enough. And I've got that one, those 2, and then I've got a third right here. And I believe there's a 4th over here in this corner, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's a 4th in this corner, so that's enough for each corner. And then I've got a couple more over here that I can use for either side of the gate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a gate. I'm not going to jerry-rig that myself. I'll invest the extra $100 or so for a nice metal gate. It'll look good. It'll function well. Yeah, there are actually 2 of the larger stakes there, so I think I have 7 or 8, all things considered. So that'll give it extra reinforcement. I'll put 1 additionally in the middle on every side, as well as on the corners and on either side of the gate. So I'll need 10, so I think I need to buy 1 more, maybe 2. And then that'll be the fence. That won't actually take long since I'm not reusing any of the fencing. I'm just uncoupling it from the stakes, pile the stakes, get rid of the fencing. You know, you can get that hauled off for free because it's metal. Once that's done and all that's out, gets a good mowing. The entire area that's going to be fenced in needs to be dug out to keep weed roots and stuff from interfering, and then I can work on the beds. But the fence is the first priority. Even if I didn't get any of the work done on moving the beds, at the very least the fence will keep out vermin. So next year there's going to be a lot more stuff in the garden because I won't have to worry about pests. You can see there's a tomato in there in the middle starting to ripen, but there are so many tomatoes you wouldn't believe it. I mean, they're hanging all the way out over these. I can actually walk in the bed on the bare dirt. I mean, look at this shit. It's like being weighed down on every side. It's going to get diseased at some point, but you get a lot of tomatoes before that happens usually, so shouldn't be that big an issue. This is, you know, probably going to end up dying. I should prop that up on something. So yeah, that's about all. Peace out.